Filmmaking, is it a team sport, or is it a dictatorship, or is it somewhere in between for you? I don't have an answer for this. I have my own sort of way I work, right? But I was at the reason I'm talking about this, let me take a step back, is I was at a meeting of a bunch of filmmakers who were sharing their work. And I showed an excerpt of a film I did during the pandemic, which I've talked about before, Detention 101. And someone came over to me afterwards, a very talented person, I just want to say, and very nice, said, "Oh, who is your editor? Because you have a fabulous editor." And I was like, "Why, thank you. I'm my own editor." And I was a little bit, I think I might have been a little rude. I don't think I answered it as nicely as I just said. I think I said more like, "Well, I edited it." And I didn't mean to be a jerk, so I apologize if I came across as one. But I was shocked because to me, I'm a filmmaker. So filmmakers should edit their own work, in my view, because it's your project. Why would you hand it off to an editor to do? But somebody else would say, and there's no right or wrong here, I'm just talking, and I'm curious to know what you think, seriously, because it's been on my brain, and I've talked about this to other filmmakers over the years, so definitely, post your comments below. You can say, "Sherry, you're a jerk, you're wrong." That's fine. So anyway, other people work, they're director writers, but are they filmmakers? That's the first question. Like, what defines a filmmaker, and what defines, you do certain roles? Like, which roles you do. Like, for example, I write, I do produce. I don't particularly like to produce, but I can, and I do it for my own work a lot of the time because you have to. I also direct, and I edit, and I occasionally shoot. I do like to have a DP, though. I prefer that greatly, but if it's a smaller project, then I just have to do it, right? And so I'm not a great DP, though. So that then leads to the next question, okay, you can do it all. Should you do it all? And then if you don't do it all, is it a dictatorship where you're just telling DP, "I want this, do it, make it happen"? See, for me, that's not the case, right? So on one hand, I'm a little dictatorship because I would never let anybody else edit my films unless, obviously if I got some big contract, which Hollywood's never going to give me a big contract. I'm just whatever. But if I did, that would be different because it's their project and I'm really, just hired in, right? It's a different kind of thing. But for my own work that I've written, that I've put together and cobbled together money to make, I'm not going to hand that off. I think that's insane. This is not me trying to pick on other people. It's not meant as a judgment at all, but it's horrifying to me. I couldn't do it. And maybe that makes me a lesser person. It's certainly possible that I can't hand it off like that, right? It would have to be you're hired and you leave. I couldn't do this in between thing and watch somebody else do the work because I'd be like, no, do it like that. It would just be a disaster. But, at the same time, on set, I like the team atmosphere and I look at it like a team. If I have a DP, that's great. I explain what I want. I show some video clips. I've talked about that before. If you go back, you can watch about that, how it's important that you show people what you want instead of trying to explain it. It's better to give a visual. Anyway, I like a DP to go off, watch that stuff, and come back and say, "Okay, I see what you're going for. I've been doing this for years. I'm an expert DP, so here's some suggestions of how to make it even better, or what we can do in this location that's like that, but we can't quite do what's there because X, Y, and Z." I rely on that. That's a team member, and I let them run their department. I don't necessarily agree with everything they suggest, but I think a lot of the time I do because I know they know better, as long as they're not deviating into some other kind of style that I don't want. And obviously you don't hire a DP who doesn't get what you're trying to do. Same thing with hair and makeup. Can I do my own hair and makeup, for example, in my life? Yes. Should I do that for other people? Not really. No. I had to cut my own hair over the pandemic like many other people, and it was definitely an interesting look. So I am very grateful that there are people out there that are so talented at that. And if I tell them, "Look, this is what I'm looking for, the characters going from A to Z, and their look should change," and then I let them go do it. Same thing with costumers, production design, all of those things, because it's not really my wheelhouse. If I have to do it, I could pull it off, but it wouldn't be anything like them. And I know if you don't hand things off to the expert and you fight and you want to stay in charge and, really dictate it all, well, A, people are pissed off, but B, on top of that, which, you should treat people with kindness, as I talk about a lot, but on top of that, why did you hire them? You're missing out. You're project could be so much better if you let go a little, right? But yet I am the person that would say in post, get out of my way. I mean, yes, sound design, yes, color correction. I'm not a Pro Tools expert. I'm not, DaVinci Resolve person. I don't do that. I can get through color correction to a point. And for smaller things, again, it's fine. But for a bigger project, no, I shouldn't do that. But editing, oh no, But I think the difference is, and what I'm explaining as I'm talking, and this is me just talking, I haven't figured this out. I really, really want to know what you think. Please post below, because this has just been on my mind. I'm not really looking for an answer. Like, who needs an answer? What does it matter? But I am curious to know how people look at this. But, to me, as I'm thinking about it, it's like whatever you're an expert in, you own and you dictate. And I feel like as a filmmaker, if it's my vision, I should be able to cut it together. And handing it off to somebody else to do, yes, of course you sit with them and go, oh, I don't like that, or what about this? But if you don't edit yourself, you can't understand what can be done with your footage, what can't be done, and then think outside the box and work around issues. You can't do that. So you're missing out on creating your vision. So to me, I just would never, ever do that. But on set, I like a team. So it's sort of like a balancing act for me, I guess. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud because I know other filmmakers who are true filmmakers, right? They write, they direct, they produce, they edit, they shoot. A lot of them don't want anybody. I know people who do everything on their films. They literally, have somebody helping out on the set, but it's really someone just helping moving stuff, and they're doing everything. And that's remarkable. And I don't know, are you truer to your vision if you do it all constantly, all the time? Or is there a give and take and a little bit of, this is my vision and these people can help me do it even better than I could do on my own, so I'm going to let go a little. Is that better? Is that worse? Does it not matter? Maybe it shouldn't be labeled as better or worse, just it's different. So let me know what you think. This is really me just asking. Yeah. Because it was amazing at the meeting when the person was surprised that I edited my own work. And it's okay. Again, lovely person, and I feel bad because I kind of said, well, of course I do, but sorry. But I kind of feel like, I can't imagine being a director and not doing that. But there are many directors who don't want to touch the software. They don't want to do it. They have no interest. It's fascinating. So if you're one of those people, I would especially like to hear from you below, because I think it's always good to understand how other people work. Okay, see you next time.